The Chicago Bulls, 11th seed last year, 31-41. They arguably made the most additions of any team, the most meaningful additions of any team this past offseason. Lonzo Ball, DeMar DeRozan, Alex Caruso, Tony Bradley, Derrick Jones Jr. drafted Ayo from Illinois. Subtractions, though, they did lose Thomas Satoransky, and they lost Garrett Temple, Theis,
Denzel. I need you to say that.
Thaddeus Young, I think, was a pretty big
I need you to say
loss.
they lost Denzel. I need you to make that clear.
Lauri Markkanen,
Valentine?
And Denzel Valentine, who the superstar player is now with the Cavaliers.
Yes, he's gone. Thank God. We booed him.
The Chicago Bulls right now are receiving a lot of hype, and when you watch them play in the preseason, they look like a very fluid team. There is a lot of excitement to be had in Chicago, and I think it's warranted because this team looks very fun. It looks like it's going to be a fun team to watch. Where do you see them amongst the top teams in the Eastern Conference?
Well, you can definitely see it. It was just a preseason game. I don't put too much into the preseason, but you even saw it in the preseason game. It's a lot of flair, and it's a lot of energy. Just a new energy around the building, around the United Arena. Just a new vibe. We seem excited. Us fans, we're excited. This team is good. I think this team, Lonzo, DeRozan, when we get Pat Will back, it's going to be a good team. I like this team, Zach LaVine. Yeah, this is, like I said with Bradley Beal, this is going to show us how good Zach LaVine truly is, being the number one. He has a team built around him. Let's see how he does, taking us to the playoffs. We built, I think our bench is still a little bit, I think we need a few more, not a few, but maybe one more piece. We don't have a backup big right now at the bench spot. That's probably going to trouble us. I mean, we got Tony Bradley, Alex Johnson, but I don't know if they're reliable guys on an 82-game season. Alex Caruso, Kobe White, they've assured that backup guard spot, point guard, two guard. They filled that. Troy Brown Jr., yeah, but he's inconsistent. We don't know what he's going to, come in and do every night. Same with DJJ. He brings that defensive end, but he's very limited on the offensive end. But our starting five, I think, is one of the best starting fives in the East. I think we can go toe-to-toe with anybody in the East just from a starting five perspective because we have mid-range guys who can hit the mid-range. We got guys who can shoot the three ball. We have defenders. We have a bunch. We have 5 playmakers. 1 through 5, we have guys who can play make, even bench guys in Caruso, we got play, and we're going to run and gun. We're going to have that run and gun style that we like to run, speed, quickness, rebound, go, push it, and we got guys who make highlights, So I think our ceiling is a 5th, 6th seed. I think that'll be our ceiling. I'm saying? We still have to figure out the chemistry on the court when the season actually starts, when teams start playing hard. We have to figure that out. Billy Donovan is still a question. He's a good coach, but people still have their questions about him, so we have to see how he's going to figure it out. But all in all, I think our ceiling is a 5 and 6 seed, and our floor is a play-in. I don't see us anything less than a play-in. I think we'll get into that for sure.
I think if you guys are playing, the season's a disappointment, truthfully. I mean, you bring in all these guys. You want to be a solid contending playoff team, 4 through 6. You don't want to worry about the playing with the moves you made. And I said it earlier, if I think Miami is my number one most improved team, I think I have the Bulls right behind them. You go and you get DeMar DeRozan to add to a already solid scoring group, making him probably the second option on this team, a guy that can facilitate the offense. Joel is prominent on DeMar DeRozan being the guy. Hey, I mean, it's not too far-fetched, given from what we've seen in preseason already. You go and get the actual primary facilitator in Lonzo Ball, in my opinion. And I like this move for a bunch of reasons. Obviously, you guys needed a point guard really bad last season. You go and you get that in Lonzo Ball. Not only is he a really solid facilitator, obviously his strength is defense. Solid on-ball, solid off-ball defender. Lonzo's one of the better defenders at the point guard position. You go and you bring in Caruso, a solid defender, great 3-and-D player. He's looked really solid already here. You tweeted earlier that you didn't know that he was like this. I told you, all you had to do was watch last season. Caruso
was holding him back.
Caruso is solid. Hey, to a degree, maybe he'll have a little bit more opportunity. You have obviously Vucevic. You mentioned it. This starting 5 is pretty talented. You have talent 1 through 5. You have Lonzo. You got DeMar, LaVine. Is Baby Claw going to start for you guys when he's healthy? And then you got Vucevic. It's a solid rotation. My only concern is how the fluidity of the offense is going to go. Whether these guys are going to be able to allow these. one guy to have their night, or if it's just going to be a consistent, constant ball movement, which I would think would be the best situation, truthfully. You want to have DeMar consistently get into his rhythm. You obviously want to cater to LaVine because LaVine is the guy. Vucevic, we can't forget about him because obviously he's a prime-time big in the league, can shoot the basketball, is solid at scoring. You don't want to lose him given that you have DeRozan, you have LaVine, you have Lonzo, who is going to be getting attempts as well. I just think that in order for them to reach their full ceiling, it needs to be a constant swing of things with obviously LaVine being the primary ball scorer. I think that their ceiling for me is around the 5-6 range. I feel like that would be a huge success for them, especially given the fact that they didn't even make the playoffs last year. Excuse me. And I think their floor is probably a play-in team, but I don't think that if you make the play-in tourney, it's not a success. You brought in DeMar, you brought in Lonzo, you brought in Vucevic, you traded away all these draft picks because you want to see results fast. You understand LaVine's window with you guys is closing fast. You don't want him to think, all right, you know what, these guys just did everything they could to put a team around me and it didn't work. I'm taking my talents elsewhere. You don't want to miss out on this opportunity. The Bulls are showing him right now that they believe in Zach LaVine as their main guy, their franchise piece that they're trying to build around. And I think they did a solid job, and I do believe they'll be successful.
If you listen to this podcast, you know that I've kind of been throwing jabs at the Bulls throughout this entire offseason period. Lonzo won't be the point guard. They're probably not that good. They're going all in. But I feel no shame in saying that I was wrong about the Bulls. Not about the Lonzo thing. I don't think he'll be
we'll wait and see on
the
that.
Primary facilitator there. But in terms of their offseason and also having young pieces for the future, I think AK did an amazing job at doing that. The Chicago Bulls have the best collection of passers in their starting lineup of any team in the entire NBA. Yes, there are some teams like the Lakers. They have LeBron. He's a better passer than everybody on the Bulls. But collectively, the Bulls have Lonzo, great passer, elite passer, I would say. LaVine, DeRozan, good to great passers. And then Nikola Vucevic, who's, if not the second best passing big man in the NBA, he's the third. Lakers, you got LeBron, but then who else? Atlanta, you have Trae Young, then who else? LaMelo, Hornets. Yeah, you're right, Russ. Hornets, it's LaMelo, then who else? The Bulls have all these guys that can pass at such a high level. I'm interested to see in who they start in place of Patrick Williams while he's hurt. Javonte Green started in the preseason. I think that was a good dynamic. You know, having him run the one at times, being a gritty defender. I think he'd be great in the starting lineup just to start off and not play too many minutes, but just start off the game until Caruso comes off the bench. The defensive concerns about the team are overblown. The Bulls, to me, I don't look at their team and roster and say defense scares me. Last year with LaVine and Vucevic, they had a top 12 defense in the NBA. Right now, they have better personnel. Billy Donovan instills defense in his teams. This is not going to be a bad defensive team. And with their offense being so fluid, they can play different pockets of the game from the post, pick and roll, isolation. They can fit into every single type of offensive system, and they can match up with every single team in the NBA. Because there's going to be nights where you're facing a Charlotte or Boston. Okay, Vucevic, go off for 30. There's going to be nights where, hey, you know, we're facing a Knicks, a gritty team. We got to pass the ball. We got to run and gun a little bit more. Or we just got to have LaVine and DeRozan break your guys down. Because the Knicks, team defense, they have that. But individual defenders, not so much. So they can fit into different styles. I think this offense is going to be a top 5 offense in the NBA. They'll have a top 15 defense in the NBA. Their ceiling is a 3rd seed. They're no doubt about it. Their ceiling is a 3rd seed. I think they can be the 3rd best team in the Eastern Conference if everybody plays to their maximum potential and if defense isn't that big of a concern. I don't see this team not missing the playoffs. Yeah. They're going to make it, and their floor to me is the 6th seed. If everything goes wrong, if there are chemistry issues, maybe a guy goes down, 6th seed, no doubt about it. But I don't see them being any lower than that.
And you mentioned it. AK was able to keep a solid collection of young guys while also bringing in veteranship and leadership, and I think that was huge. You know, Patrick Williams, Kobe White. I think those two guys are going to be key in our development, but I also think bringing in DeRozan and Vucevic, veteran guys who've been to the playoffs, who know what it's like. DeMar DeRozan's been to the ECF, so he understands. Bringing in guys like that, I think it's big. And, we still managed to keep young talent, which is great. AK has done an incredible job in the front office, and I think that was huge for us in itself.
I mean, we've also mentioned that we believe that the best way to develop a young player is to have them be in a winning culture, winning atmosphere. Patrick Williams, maybe this year, next season, he won't be the player we think he can become, but year 4, can he be Jaylen Brownish, 20 a game, and now you have a future of Levine, Williams, and Lonzo? That can definitely happen. So I think that right now is about winning first and development later.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of teams in the NBA, we see, wow, they have a great young team every single year, but they never do anything. Sacramento, Minnesota. It's better to win now and let the developing
happen in the process.
Come next, because sometimes you get stuck in that phase where you're young, but you're too young and you don't have any experience winning games, so you lose them.